So my friends, Sarah and Jenny, they are born very close together in June, and so their birthday parties are always the same weekend. So I've, for many years, had to split my time between both of their birthdays, and it's like so frustrating, but it's fine, and I love them, and I go to both.
I was in the mall and I bumped into Sarah. She's like, hey, how's it going? My birthday's tomorrow, if you want to come. And I'm like, that's the only day that I'm not busy, so it might just happen.
So I was getting ready to go out. I was wearing this like really tight white corsety top.
Saturday comes and I'm not really doing anything, so I just had to get ready. So I put on my favorite cowboy boots, had my cycling t-shirt on, my Castro black hat. I look in the mirror, I look at what I have on. I'm like, yeah, I look all right. Good enough for the public. So I went down to the Rhino.
I was downtown, and then it got to midnight. So I texted, hey Sarah, like I'm on my way, I'm coming to your party. It took me an hour and a half to get from one side of Queen Street to the other side of Queen Street. And I was so annoyed that I wanted to turn around and I was almost gonna go home. I was like, no, I'm gonna go to her party. I'm a good person, and I told her that I'm definitely coming.
So fast forwarding.
So then I went inside.
She was wearing like a white fancy top, curly hair. And when I saw her, it was like, wow, she's pretty good looking.
I must have started telling him how I was a photographer, and then he was probably like, oh, I'm really into film. And I was like, oh, like, you know, this guy's nice, but he was really weird looking. Like he was wearing like this black t-shirt that was like, you know, like a naked guy that's like this.
It was a Da Vinci cycling guy that has had multiple arms, right? That Da Vinci picture, and it also had a picture of like his creation of the bicycle.
And he had like cowboy boots and like a Castro hat.
So she must have thought I was a pretty edgy, tough biker dude. And I believe at one point I took off my hat and she noticed that I was bald. And she probably thought, what the F, this guy's bald.
And he was super bald, and I was like, this guy like looks really weird, but he was really nice, so I enjoyed talking to him. And then from there, somehow we started coming up with this whole movie plot that was
a comedy, Western theme / ninja. In this movie, the weapon of choice was a mud ball that Melissa suggested. She's like, well, how about we use a mud ball as a weapon? I'm like, mud ball? And thinking about how no one has ever used a mud ball as a weapon, I was like, that sounds like a pretty good idea.
It's time to go, because it's like last call and the bar is closing. It turned out that Tim was parked not so far away, but a little bit far away.
So she's like, oh, I'll drive you to your car. And I'm like, all right. I parked down this alley.
It's like private parking only.
And she's like, isn't it like illegal to park there? And I'm like, yeah, but I'll be fine.
And he got away with it, which I never would. I think before we actually like got in the car, we were talking about the movie and we're like, yeah, we should definitely make this movie. He's like, do you really want to make that movie? And I'm like, yeah, I want to make the movie. But I was like being sarcastic. I didn't really mean it. But I guess he took me seriously. I'm
like, are you serious? Like, I will do this. And she's like, yep, we'll do this. So in my mind, we are gonna make this movie and we're gonna be making millions.
So I dropped him off at his car and we drive away, and immediately Sarah turns to me and she's like, so you like my ex, huh? And I'm like, what? She's like, no, like it's fine. Like if you like him, like that's fine. And I'm like, are you sure? Like, is that fine? And she was like, yeah, it's fine.
After a couple of days, I just kept thinking about that night and how it was really enjoyable talking to Melissa.
So he sent me an email while I was away in England.
I think she, at one point, started talking to her boss at Magenta about this movie idea we had.
And I told my manager and all my friends at work all about this really weird movie, Mudballs. And my manager goes, oh, that sounds just like the movie The Naked Gun.
And I'm thinking, I've seen Naked Gun. It has nothing to do about Western ninjas. This has nothing to do with this movie idea that we had.
And I'm like, I don't know what that movie is. But I was like, maybe we'll watch it.
And I'm like, yeah, that's a really good idea. We should get together, watch that movie, and work on the script of our future movie, potentially.
And I was like, I would love to get together and work on this movie, but the whole time I'm being sarcastic. Like, I do want to get together, but I was not wanting to do the movie? Like, I was just like, sure.
So it came to the day.
I'm like going up to the house and I'm like, what am I thinking? Why am I doing this? Because when I first met him, I thought he kind of looked like a biker, like not like a cyclist biker, but like a biker.
I opened up the door. This time she has straight, long hair. So I'm like, oh, that's different.
He's like wearing like a white polo and he looks like so normal. And I was like, oh, thank God.
We didn't really know it was a first date. It was either like half business, half date, not too sure.
He had actually typed up like a whole script. Like he'd actually done the whole thing.
And she's like, wow, you actually put time into this. I'm like, of course, this is like pre-production. Like you have to write the script out. She's like, really? I thought you were just like having fun talking about it. And I'm like, really? Like, I thought we were gonna be making this movie.
And I'm like, oh man, like this guy's so weird. I was just making a joke the whole time.
She said it was like really cute that I went to the efforts to make this script. So we were watching this movie.
And it was nothing like our movie, like absolutely nothing like our movie. So I'm like, I don't know why you would say this movie is like our movie, because it wasn't like our movie.
I don't even know how often the ninjas would show up in the movie, thinking about it.
His brother's ex-wife came home with Tim's niece, Kaylee, and Jess was like, oh, Uncle Tim, come lay on the floor.
And I said, sure, why not? This sounds fun. So got on the ground, she pushed me, I was rolling.
And they started like rolling him around and it was so weird. But I'm like, oh, whatever, it's kind of cute. So they stopped playing, but then she kicked us out of the room.
So we're like, okay, I guess this is a good opportunity to make dinner.
I'm like, why is your barbecue in the garage? And he's like, I don't know, like for some reason they didn't put it in the backyard. And I'm like, okay, this is so weird, but whatever. So we made the corn, we like went back into the kitchen and I sit down at the table and I'm like, do you have cutlery, like fork and knife? And he's like, oh, no, like, do you want that?
Instead of getting up and getting cutlery, do you mind if we just eat with our hands? And she said,
no, it's fine. So we like sat at the table eating like chicken, like random, like, you know, those chickens you get from Sobeys, a full chicken. We're like eating chicken and corn, like with our hands.
So after that, the whole movie went through.
We're like sitting in the living room watching a movie together, like on opposite sides of the couch, which is super romantic. I was wondering if Tim was gonna make a move on me or like put his arm around me or like do anything. So I'm like sliding down the couch, like getting like closer and closer and closer.
Melissa's sitting super close to me. I'm still not really putting my arm around her.
Finally put his arm around me. I'm like, oh, okay, like fine, you actually like, so we're like, he just like has his arm around me. We just talked about like all these things that we like and we don't like, and literally everything was the opposite.
She's like, so what music do you like? And I said, well, I like different types of music, like metal, and other types of music.
He's like my opposite. He's like quiet and I'm like super duper loud and crazy, and he's like just like peaceful. And he likes his like metal music and I like my Hanson. So we're just like together, it works out.
I think we pretty much said our goodbyes shortly after that.
But then from there we probably spend like every single day together, like every single day. And here we are. It's like 5.5 years later.